Howdy Google Ads fans, and welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to talk about setting our daily budget. And yes, in Google Ads, we set daily budgets. We don't set monthly budgets. When you set a daily budget for your campaign, you're telling Google how much you want to spend each day, the maximum you're willing to spend each day for this campaign. This is not for your account. Remember that. So if I set a daily budget for this campaign, that's how much the ad groups, ads, keywords within this campaign are allowed to spend over the course of any given day. Google has updated a couple things with regards to their daily budget and how it works. You can actually spend up to double your daily budget, but it won't exceed your daily budget over the course of an entire month multiplied by the average amount of days in a month. So that sounds a little complicated, so let's just quickly look at an example. So say for example, I have a daily budget of $177, okay? Now the average amount of days in a month, what you're telling Google is that this is what I want to spend per day, and Google will say like, okay, we get that. We might spend a little bit more, you might spend a little bit more, you might spend a little bit less, but we will hold ourselves to that multiplied by 30. So if I take 177 and I multiply that by 30, what do we get? Do the math. $5,310. I believe, right? So $5,310 is the most you're going to spend over the course of a month, which is actually $177 a day. But I could spend on any given day 177 up to double that, right? So that comes out to 354. Okay, so I could spend $354 on any given day, but I won't spend $354 every day because then I'm going to greatly exceed my allotted budget for the course of the month. So it's a little bit of a weird system. It used to be that Google would really not go over your daily budget. Google has changed, and they will outright say that we could spend up to double your daily budget on any given day. And the reason why they do that is because they say like, okay, if on any given day we feel that you could get more impressions and more conversions for keywords that you want to get, then we'll give those to you, and we won't spend as much, next week or the day before, something like that. So I actually think it's a good system. And we've seen better results in our campaigns as a result of this change. Of course, we've had to explain this to clients. So if you are setting up campaigns for clients, you need to really tell them that, listen, if you're giving me a $100 a day budget, if you log into the account or we're sending you daily reports, you might see a spend of $200, right? But don't worry, you're not going to spend more than $3,000 over the course of an entire month, which is your $100 a day budget spread out over the course of 30 days. That's how it works. Now, how do you determine what your daily budget should be? Okay, that's a good question. There's no way to answer that for a new campaign. The real way to go about figuring out what your daily budget should be is how much profit do I need to earn? What return on ad spend do I need to generate for these campaigns to be profitable? And remember, what we're dealing with here is salesmanship in pixels. Salesmanship is all about making a profit, and we've said this before. I'll continue to say this again. Everything we do, every decision we make must be anchored to our desire and our ultimate goal for profit, for making more money than what we're spending. That's really, really important. When I have some historic data, when I've been spending a little bit of my account, then I'll know, okay, is this $50? Is this $20? Is this campaign? Is this ad group? Are we profitable? Are we generating more money? Is this ad, are these keywords generating more money in revenue, in leads, in signups, in traffic, whatever revenue generating activities we choose to analyze? Are we making more money than what we're spending? But if you're creating a campaign for the first time, then there's no way to really know. So if you have a budget behind you and you're able to invest in testing what's going to work, then put a daily budget that's appropriate. So I can't tell you what that is. Whether it be $50, $500, or $5,000, I don't know. It could be $10, it could be $1. I mean, I don't think it's worth getting involved in the campaign at $1 a day. I would say at minimum $10 a day spread across one or two keywords at most. If you're have a budget of $50 a day, then I wouldn't have more than 5 to 10 keywords in the entire account. And I'll give you some more of my guidelines on how many keywords the ratio of how many keywords to your advertising dollars per day is appropriate, because when you spread your budget too thin, if you have 100 keywords with a $20 a day budget, then Google's going to try to give each of those 100 keywords equal exposure, and it's going to take you too long to get meaningful data to understand which keywords are actually going to be the ones that will perform for you well over time, which keywords won't. You have to really conserve your budget and spend your budget wisely across different data points where you'll get enough data so you can analyze it and then make good optimization decisions. So in our case for now, I'm just going to put in a quick, $50 a day budget. It's a test account. And again, remember that this is just for this campaign. And now I'm going to delivery method. If I twirl down delivery method, which is an advanced setting, we have two options: standard delivery method and accelerated delivery method. And I want to jump into a slide to explain exactly how this works. So to begin, I want to first take a step back so we can understand a basic economic problem that we all have, well, most of us without an unlimited extraordinary budget, when it comes to advertising on terms that have a lot of volume on Google. So let's just come up with an example here. So our keyword, let's say, is custom bookshelves. Our daily budget is $175. Our average CPC, and again, this is just theoretical data. You'll know what your average cost per click is once you've been running campaigns for some amount of time. And our average click-through rate is 4.7%. Click-through rate is the percentage of times that an ad gets clicked versus the amount of times that the ad is shown. That is click-through rate. What percentage of time does your ad get clicked? Okay, so let's come up with some hypothetical numbers to illustrate this economic problem. Let's say 324,000 daily searches for custom bookshelves occur on google.com. Again, hypothetical number. Now, how many clicks for your average CTR does Google think you can get? So you take 324,000, you multiply that by 4.7%, and that gets you to 15,228 potential clicks for your click-through rate. If your click-through rate was higher, you could potentially get a maximum of more clicks. If it was lower clicks, right? But in this example, you can get a maximum of 15,228 clicks. What would be the required daily budget to get every single one of those impressions, right? You take 15,228 multiplied by our average CPC of $2.96, and that gives you $45,074 you would need in order to get, it's pretty incredible, in order to get every single one of the available clicks on Google over the course of one day, in our example. And these are not crazy numbers. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this is far off, or if it's not far off rather. I would need to spend $45,000 on Google, all right? But what's the maximum number of clicks that we could actually get with our $175 daily budget? So we take $175, simple enough, divide that by our average CPC, $2.96, that gives us 59 clicks, right? We're only able to get 59 clicks for our budget. So the percentage of available impressions that Google will allow us to win with our daily budget is 59 divided by 15,228 multiplied by 100 is 0.4%, okay? So we're only even eligible, Google's only gonna give us 0.4%, or rather, Google might double that $175 budget over the course of a day. We know that, right? So maybe Google will allow us to get, 100 clicks as opposed to just 59 clicks. And of course, this 59 number is the amount of clicks that we can get over the course of a day for our budget, not the number of impressions. But still, it's a very, very, very small percentage of what's available. And Google's not going to give us more impressions than the maximum allowed in the context of doubling that daily budget. Google's going to expect our ad to get clicked 4.7% of the time. Google's going to expect that click to cost us $2.96, and Google's going to now allow us to enter into the auction within those constraints, right? They're not going to give us, they're only going to give us a fraction of the available impressions, which means that we're going to get a fraction of the available clicks. When we ask Google how to deliver our ads, what our delivery settings will be, you're asking Google you're telling Google, we're only going to give you a fraction of the available impressions. How do you want us to deliver those impressions to you? Do you want them all at once? Do you want them as fast as possible? Or do you want them throughout the day or throughout the maximum amount of time you have given your ad scheduling options? So let's see what that looks like. So advanced delivery method, when you click standard, and when you choose standard as an option, you're optimizing the delivery of your ads, spending budget evenly over time. That's what Google recommends. The translation of that is the same amount of impressions spread out throughout the day. So here's a visual representation of that looks like. Let's say I'm bidding from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. I'm bidding 24 hours a day. my impressions will be a relatively even distribution throughout the day. So if Google knows that I'm going to get, for example, if Google knows the maximum amount of impressions that I can get is 2,000 impressions, they'll stagger those impressions throughout the day. So I'll miss out on a bunch of auctions early, and Google has enough computing power to know exactly how to give me that even distribution. If I choose accelerated delivery, I'm not optimizing the delivery of the ads. I'm spending my budget more quickly. I'm getting them as soon as possible. That's what I recommend at Adventure Media. It's the best way to get true volume and project how much more impressions that are available for your keywords. This is, the way I sort of view it, especially in the beginning, is you want to really know what's out there. My previous slide where I gave you that example of 300,000 searches, that was just a guess. But if you want to really know how much could I spend, what could I really get out of this, then I recommend accelerated budget. Yes, your budget might be depleted by 10 o'clock in the morning. It might be depleted 2 hours after your campaign's launch. Fine. And that's not great for the first day, but it's okay because you're learning. I'm learning that I could spend $50 by 11 a.m. and what results does that get me? You are missing out on a really, really important thing, is to see, do different hours of the day perform differently? Which is why you'll have to eventually adjust, either increase your daily budget, or you could choose to switch to a standard delivery option later on. And that's totally fine. You could switch to standard delivery at any point in time in the campaigns. This is an option that could always be changed later. And just a visual representation of what this looks like, if I'm getting all my impressions, and this is what it would look like if I have a lower budget than what I could actually get based on the maximum amount of search impressions in the locations that I'm targeting, et cetera, et cetera. And I would have those staggered earlier on. Now, of course, you could choose accelerated and your ads could show all day. And what would be the reason that might happen is because the combination of two factors, which is my daily budget and the amount of available impressions for a given keyword search term ad group campaign, are enough that my daily budget covers or exceeds the amount of maximum impressions that I can get. And that actually happens more than you'd think, because not every keyword has a huge amount of volume. And depending on your match type, depending on your location settings, but depending on when your ads are scheduled to actually run. So it's quite common that we'll have a campaign on accelerated budget and our campaigns are running and our impressions we're receiving impressions throughout the entire day or throughout the entire time we're actually having those ads scheduled to run. So I recommend going to accelerated, choosing accelerated to start, monitor when you start getting less activity, and then decide whether or not you want to increase your budget based on profit, of course, based on exposure, based on what your sales team or your website can handle, or how the results of the campaigns are going. Of course, that's different for everybody. So either change to standard or switch or increase your daily budget. So that's the advanced delivery method settings. Let's just quickly jump back into Google Ads and select our settings, the ones that we want to use. Back in Google Ads, I'm going to click accelerated. Google gives us this little notification, spending budget more quickly. This may cause your budget to run out early. Yes, we know that, but it's still what we would like to do. In the next lecture, I'm going to show you how to find your time reports, how to show by hour of the day the results you're getting, and how to start thinking about making optimization decisions based on those numbers. I look forward to seeing you guys very soon in the very next lecture.